This is the Rushmore Show, where it's all about your top four and nothing more. Kirk, we are live again. Welcome to everyone. As you start joining in on the chat, jump on in. We have got a great episode tonight, another live fun one. Cool guest here, and we are still kicking it in our video game series. So, Kirk, let the Summit Squad tell them, hey, let them know, since we're live now, what we got going on today. You're excited about today, right?
I am excited about today. It's we've done this with creators. We've done this with your friends. I've even had a few friends come on, but with this our guest today is I'm going deep cut. I'm pulling someone out from a friendship, middle school. He's going to come and hang out with us for our little episode, and we're going to do the top 4 underrated games, or maybe hidden gems, things that aren't necessarily your best franchises, but are games that you only a portion of the world would actually know about. You know what I mean? So I'm excited, man. I'm also excited that Patrick Mahomes is the champion.
Go for it.
Yes.
This is your moment.
Yeah, I'm sure that's where you wanted to go with that. And yeah, so Super Tecmo Bowl's not on my list today, but I did put down my favorite quarterback from Super Tecmo Bowl, because Steve DeBerg is the greatest 49er of all time. So that's just where we're at there. So Andy, now football is over. Congratulations to Paul for being the fantasy football champion this year. You will get your trophy soon if you haven't already. We need to get that picture. And hey, we have a couple openings that are going to be in our fantasy football league this year. And come and join us, man. So if you want to join us next year and kind of participate, we are ready to go, man. So Andy, how was this list for you today?
This list was fun, man. I've actually been pitching this sort of idea for quite some time. I've always wanted to talk about obscure games. I didn't know really kind of in the context of what we're going to do, but we've fallen on underrated / hidden gems. So this is going to be a good one. I want to say hey to a couple people. Retro Cannon, always up in the chat.
What's up, bud?
We got hello at the Rushmore from a vegetable basket, apparently.
Rook of All is from they're from Burt's Beats. So yeah, welcome.
Yeah. Welcome, man. Your son, Retro Cannon, probably had a typo right here, because he then said, clap. Okay, that was fun.
What's up, Vintage Sports?
Sports is here. What's up?
I met him through Bert as well. Bill Keys, we'll see you soon, March 2nd and 3rd. And man, Bill's going to come and join us on our show down the road. He's going to be over at the retro, the Louisiana RetroCon, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit, man. We got 9 people up here in the chat. Leave your top 4 favorite games that nobody's ever heard of, and tell us where you're watching us from. Are you at Twitch, Facebook? Are you on YouTube? Just say hello. Put it down in the chat. We're going to do a giveaway, I'm sure, today, and for all of those, we can throw something out there. Lila Sims, welcome, Lila. She's family of our guest. So welcome, Lila.
All right. Well,
yeah. So
speaking of that.
Yeah, I think it's probably about that time to bring forth the rhythm and the rhyme. Right, let's get down to it, and top 4 underrated games. Let's get it. All right, it's time to welcome our guest. It's also time to kind of announce what we're doing and where we're going. So today, as you've seen in the video, we're coming towards the end of our video games, getting ready to launch our music. But before we do, Andy, you've talked about this idea of underrated something. We've talked about it in food. We've talked about it in nostalgia, kind of wanting to do that. And a couple weeks ago, we had a friend, Rad Bash, reach out to us, and he asked us to come and join in on a video for him. It should be coming out soon. And for mine, it was the top your favorite Super Nintendo game ever that's underrated. And for you, I think you did 64, right?
Yep, I did.
Yeah. And so here's the thing. I started to put my list together, and I put kind of my list together in systems, if you will. Super Nintendo, Genesis, whatever. So I'm ready to do this multiple times next season for each one. But today, we are going to do underrated games across all platforms. So I think it's time to introduce our guest. My guest today is, I'm trying to put the pieces together, but I think St. Margaret Mary, he moved into our district to come to our school. Either it was 6th or 7th grade. We were great friends in 7th, great friends in 8th. And in 9th grade, we went on to high school and kind of divided a little bit, but hung out a little bit more and a little bit less, and then lost contact as soon as high school was over, college, military, jobs, wives, you name it. And man, just out of the blue, a couple of months back, I get a random text about a friend of ours, and we start chatting it up, and man, we've made connection. Guys, I've talked about him before. Welcome to the show, my middle school friend, Kevin Sims. Welcome to the show, bud.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Man,
yeah, it was definitely 7th grade, St. Margaret Mary. That's when I moved in. Well, actually, I moved there in 6th grade, but I ended up going to different school for half a year over, there. But
so I thought it was 7th grade. Wasn't sure.
7th grade. Yep, 7th grade.
For sure it was 8th grade. And I knew it was 7th grade, but I wasn't sure if it was a little earlier. I knew you were at least there 2 years, kind of putting it together with Damon and Charlie and Marcus and kind of that group of friends that we had for quite a bit. But man, hey, Rushmore Show, I'm just going to tell you, one of the main reasons that me and Kevin clicked, as well as the other guys, was Kevin was a gamer. And bro, Kevin, I'm pretty sure you had at that point more games than any person I had ever seen. Every time something new came out, you had it. So I was trying to kind of think, man, like I remember playing Final Fantasy II at your house for the first time. I remember playing a bunch of Genesis games like Last Stand, for whatever reason, that stuck in my head, Altered Beast, all those Genesis games, because I didn't have a Genesis. I played them over there. Bro, I'm so excited to hear what your list is today, because not sure where you went after that with your game experience, but I know you have a lot of those old-time games that I love.
It was probably a lot like you guys, played games a ton when I was younger. And then, once you get in high school, later high school, early college, you kind of grow out of them a little bit, stop playing them. And then there's always a game that grabs you back, something that gets you playing again. Not that it's going to hit this list, but mine was, I know Andy doesn't, I know he loves the RPGs, but it was Dragon Quest 8 on the PlayStation 2 that just locked me back into playing to where I was just I mean, I'd always kind of played them the whole time before that. PS1, played a ton of games on, but that game grabbed me back.
I actually won that game along with another game at Buffalo Wild Wings. I won my Madden, and I won that game over at Buffalo Wild Wings. And I love the fact that that game actually had the Final Fantasy insert demo on it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
I can't remember. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't remember exactly which. Well, I was probably X or 9. It was probably one of those two. But man, I am excited to get started. Andy, you are. Yep. Kicking Preacher, what's up, bud? Hey, so your last video was fantastic, and my son was upset that we didn't win your giveaway. So just throwing that out there, and tell your son. Blocky, tell and your daughter Abby hello for us. So hey, so let's get started. We usually do this to begin, Kevin, is kind of just talk through what you were thinking. We call it the criteria because we had not a better word for it, but this is why I went this direction, and then we'll get started with our Rosies and kind of move along this night and see how we go.
Yep. No. So initially, my criteria, the first couple games I selected was ones that had no series with no sequels, anything like that. So
I like that.
So I started there, but then one of the games I picked, after I was looking at it and reading a little bit up on it, forgot about a sequel it had. So then once I found out that one had a sequel, I wasn't going to throw it away because I love the game. can't take it out. It was here to stay. Once I hit that, then I added another one that, so, it started out that way, but it didn't end up that way. But that was my initial stab at it, was, games that were, one and done, that, never were popular enough, never got enough sales, whatever it took to, not get it a sequel anywhere. So that's where I started.
Dude, I love that to death. So let's do your Rosie. Rosie is our abbreviation, our cool name for Roosevelt. We consider him the fourth guy on the mountain. Where are you going to go with your number 4? This is your line in the sand. So like nothing else can make the mountain after this one.
Right. So this game probably is as close to a Zelda clone as you can get without getting sued. But it was a great game. Had a lot of fun with it. It never got released digitally, so it was a physical release only on the PlayStation 3. But 3D Dot Game Heroes. Don't know if anyone played that one.
Nice. I have not played that because PS3 is not my. I kind of stopped for a portion in 3 and 4. So tell us a little. And I know Andy's not a PS3 guy either. So tell us a little bit about it.
It's basically a Zelda 1 clone. Like I said, you couldn't make this game without, stepping that close to getting it and getting sued. It's a 3D type game. It's kind of hard to explain, but you can design your own character. You can build them up at the beginning, block by block. So it's kind of 3D, but it still maintains that 3/4 overhead view like Zelda 1. It's identical to the point you get bombs, boomerang spells, all that stuff. It does have an upgrade path to where you can upgrade your swords and weapons. It gets as ridiculous to the point to where your sword is basically the entire screen, if you grind it out and level it up enough. But the RPG elements were fairly light in it. It wasn't, so ridiculous to where, it was not like a Final Fantasy type game.
Thank you.
Okay.
Just a ton of fun. Sunk a lot of hours into it. If you were into the platinum thing, getting the trophies on it, that's one that would have taken you forever. That I never crawled down that path just because it wasn't going to sink 100 hours into the game. But I love the game.
What's the name of the game again?
I just saw it. 3D Dot Game Heroes.
3D Dot Game Heroes. Are they pixel art? Is it like They look pixel art like.
Yeah, it's voxel, so it's kind of like a 3D pixel,
like Roblox.
Yeah, picture Lego bricks put together, and that's what your characters look like, and that's how you can build your character. You can design him however you wanted. You could even share those designs online. Just a fun game. It's essentially Zelda 1. Just upgraded. Part of the story.
It is. It's like Zelda 1. I love it.
Yep.
I love it to death already because I love the Zelda franchise. And I love where you're going, kind of where your list and how you were building. I love the fact that you were trying to avoid sequels, but I also love the fact that you picked something like a big franchise that's a kind of a one-off, if you will. And I guess you'll see that here with me because I guess I'll jump in now. I'm going to jump in and I'm going to share like what I was thinking. So I made a list. It's got about, I got about 30 games on this from a couple different systems, my favorite systems, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Genesis, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, and I kind of put that list together. And then what I realized is most of these games are really good, and they have some tie-ins or they're very similar to other games. And so I love that idea that you're going with. My first game though that I'm going to go with is it is a puzzle platformer. Right. It was on the Super Nintendo. It's one of my favorite games. It does have a sequel, but I've never played them. It is Lost Vikings. And I absolutely love this game. So I had it. I wish I still had it. Sometimes I go through my games. I'm like, where did that game go? I'm just assuming somebody came over and put it in their pocket and took it home. I don't know. Because like at the time I wasn't really playing. But I definitely own this game. Don't know where it went, but Lost Vikings. This is essentially what it is. It's a couple Vikings get transported into a alien world, if you will. Like an alien comes and gets them or whatever, and they've got to escape as Vikings. And each one of the Vikings have only one like extra attribute, if you will. There's a big heavy guy. He carries a shield and he puts it over his head and he carries guys on top. There's another one that runs super fast and can make long jumps. And then there's another guy, he's an archer. And so he shoots different switches and things like that. And basically it's the platformer is also very you have to figure out the puzzle, right, and how to get these three guys out without killing them all. And then each level is obviously trying to get back to your homeland and get back into time. So lost Vikings, they're lost from their original place, but they're in a space that they're in space for most of the time that you don't even see. I don't know if you guys have ever played this game, but it is a fantastic play. What I love about it is you can literally play this game and like pick it up, put it down. It's nothing that you have to sink hours of time in. You can start in the beginning at any time. And then later in like on this system, I've played it actually recently, having the save states, wow, blah, 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 save states, having where you can save and kind of go later. It had a password system, but it's just a fun game.
I've not played this one, but again, so tonight's going to really serve as like an educational experience for many people, because both games so far I haven't even heard of. I'm Googling them. I'm looking them up. They look super fun. This game is Vikings in Metroid. In Metroid, it seems like. I mean, it's basically what at least the screenshots look like.
The really cool part, though, is like Samus has a gun. She can jump. She can get the spin attack. These three Vikings, they can only do one thing. So the one guy that can jump is the only guy that can jump. The other two only can walk, and you have to jump across to make things happen so that they can get across.
That's pretty cool.
And you have to think about the steps of which one goes first. It's just a fun game. If you like.
Is this co-op?
I don't think it was.
I don't think so. I think it's just a one. Maybe in part 2 or 3, because I think there was a 2.
I know there was a 2. I never played the second one either. I played the first one. Played the hell out of the first one. When they released it, it felt like it was kind of like an updated Lemmings.
That's kind of how I see it, because Lemmings they just keep walking.
It was definitely.
But these guys actually stop. They can stop, and you don't have to like set up blocks and all that and whatever, and you don't have to kill yourself. I love. Speaking of underrated, Lemmings is an underrated game. Yeah.
Lost Vikings is, again, never played the sequel. Might have to go check it out now, but yeah, great game.
Yeah, this is a fun game.
All right, good one.
All right, Andy, you're up, man.
All right, so here's the deal. I love bad movies. And what I mean by bad movies is I love the movies that generally don't get a lot of love by critics, but I like them for their campiness, for their just maybe cult classics, status that they've earned. So in a similar context with video games, I have always just been fond of these games that, I mean, obviously we love the Marios, we love the Donkey Kongs, we love the, all of these classic, iconic things, which iconic is a word we love to use. I don't think we're going to use it tonight. I don't think iconic plays into tonight's, there it is. Get your view of it right now.
But you can use this word, I'm sure.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Now, this is the word that absolutely applies to this. So here's the deal. For my games, they were games that I definitely played a ton of. But for me, they're in a genre of games or a style of games where this is definitely not the 10th or 15th or 20th best one according to critics, right? If I'm going to pull up top platformers or whatever, the platformer that I decide, like there's other games that people go to before they go to these ones, right? But if you get far enough down the catalog of these games and you get to these ones, oh my goodness, are they fun. They're some of the most nostalgic and for me, and just bring back these memories of playing a ton as a kid. I am going to breaking news something for you right now. I did not put a single N64 game on the list. And that's shocking. It's shocking. I almost did. But the reason I didn't, if you go back, go check out Rad Bash. I did talk about a game on there that was an underrated N64 game. He's got a bunch of other of his friends that are content creators that have shared theirs. It's helped me grow my or want to grow my collection because of some of the games that they mentioned. So I'm going to stay away from N64. I'm going to go a little bit different this time. And the first system I'm going to start potentially, at least in my opinion, I think is one of the more underrated systems that's out there. I think many people love it, but it doesn't always get mentioned with the Super Nintendos and those goats, and and for me the 64s, or things like that. And I'm going to go to the Sega Genesis. I had the Sega Genesis. I love this system. It's a great one. There are a ton of bangers for this system, and I'm going to start off with a football game. But this football game is not your Madden or your Tecmos or your fun things like that. What I think is the most underrated football game of all time: Mutant League Football. I love Mutant League Football from the Sega Genesis. Hear me out. Now, it is the most cartoony. It's almost like Blitz in a sense, but even more ridiculous, right? It's monsters and aliens and zombies and everyone who are fighting or playing football games against each other in different toxic wastelands and on the moon and just all over, all over the place, right? I did this today. I did some research. Here's the team names that are out there for the Mutant League Football: the Midway Monsters, the Slay City Slayers, the Misfit Demons, the Road Warriors, Terminators, Psycho Slashers, the 60 Whiners was a team on them. The New York Zombies, the Deadlanta Vultures, the Nuked London Hatriots. How awesome is that? And then the Killer Convicts. This was just fun, man. You would tackle, and every group would have its own unique kind of like how they moved based on what type of character it was, which I thought was really cool. The characters, they had names. The players for the teams had different names. Some of them were like Buttlicker or something. This was like stupid, ridiculous names. But they did those. You could fall off of the planet that you were playing on. There were just these brutal hits. But actually, all in all, you were actually playing a football game. You were calling your offensive play. You had choices of defensive plays, the 3-4, the 4-3. So like it was in its own right, a legit football game, but in such a cartoony and campy and unique way. If you haven't played it, I highly suggest, man, go get yourself some kind of way. And I'm sure it's on your RetroPie system, but Mutant League Football.
Good game. Yep, played that one too. Can't say I played a ton of it. I played, obviously was playing other sports games before that one, but yeah, ton of fun. Yeah, I can't remember. Did everyone have a 4-player option on it? I can't remember.
I never played it with that many people. It could have. I don't remember.
Right. I don't remember.
Well, I feel like there's a couple football games that had that 4-player option.
Because that was made by EA. So I mean, they were making the Madden games alongside that one.
So yeah. I'm just gonna throw this out there. To me, and I have some on my Benjamins, but I think the most underrated game champion is the Genesis. Dude, there are so many games on that system that I was talking about picking. And honestly, the only reason I didn't choose any of them, there's some that are on my Benjamins, was because I didn't own the system. And it was reminded to me when I did play it, it was a lot at your house, Kevin. That game, that system was awesome. It went from the 2 buttons then to the 3. And I can remember Mutant League being like, it kind of mixed like arch rivals, Bill Lambier basketball, Blitz with like sci-fi monsters and whatnot. You remember the what was it? Pigskins and something, the football game that you just beat the crud out of each other with like cavemen and stuff, bro. Anyways,
it was an Atari game. Yeah, I don't remember the name of it.
Yeah. Anyways, those games are all fun because it put a spin on football, right?
Yeah.
And it just wasn't the normal thing. But there were a bunch of just some even that I mentioned that were almost just unplayable. Like you would get them for the gimmick, and then when you start playing, they were terrible.
That's what I see. Like this game in its own right was actually a good football game. I thought.
Yeah, it was.
It was.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It actually held up and actually had good gameplay.
And I never was into sports games a lot. I mean, other than the Tecmo Bowl, I loved Tecmo Bowl and games like that. But for me, that was a perfect kind of game. And like I said, the pedigree there from EA making it. It was a solid game all around. Yeah, definitely good game.
Yeah, EA Sports. I got a kid in my school. That's his nickname. And so when he comes into my room, I have to go EA Sports, and he goes, "It's in the game." And then, but hey, dude, that's our first level. Those are really good. I love the picks. Kevin, you're up, man. So this is the next tier, TJ Jazzy Jeff. Where you going?
Yep. So didn't pick any Genesis games, but picked another Sega system. Went with the game on Saturn.
Nice.
That was Saturn to me, kind of like how you were saying the Genesis had so many games. The Saturn to me was just underappreciated system all around, mainly because there was probably like 4 people in America that bought the thing, so it failed pretty quickly. And this is the game that threw me off. Excuse me, that threw me off when I was picking out my games. When I said, I didn't want to get anything that had a sequel. Found out this one had a sequel. But it's a very cool beat 'em up, and that's going to be Guardian Heroes for the Saturn.
Nice. What a cool game.
So standard, it's a beat 'em up game, but it was up to 6 players at one time. Can't say technically it was an amazing game. There was, a mountain of slowdown in it when you get 6 people on screen, but it had RPG elements in it. You could level up. There was like 50 different paths in the game for multiple endings, so replay value was super high on it. The characters in the game were ridiculous. The spells you could cast were ridiculous. Story, nothing right home about it. Standard fare of kingdom, saving the kingdom, beating the bad guy. I couldn't even tell you who the end boss was, but I can remember playing this one, Kirk, like over at Marcus when he used to live over there off of over by your old house in Slidell. On West End. But I remember going to his house. We sunk so many hours into this game on a Saturn because he had the Saturn before I did. So, but this game, Guardian Heroes, it was made by Treasure. They've made a pile of good games. When you get 6 people together, because we went and got that 6-player adapter for it, and we'd be up till 3 and 4 in the morning playing this game. It just amazing amount of fun. They did make a sequel to it on the Game Boy Advance. Not nearly as good as the original, and then they've actually re-released it. I think you can still pick it up on like Xbox Live and all those. So the remake's out there, and a lot more accessible than trying to find the original. That's one of those that's climbed up there in price, to these ridiculous amounts. But
yeah, I'm just looking it up just to jog the memory because I love this game. I'm seeing anywhere between $115 to $200 that game you just held up is going.
Yeah,
and it's a fantastic play. Pickin' Preacher, I typed a little something, but Pickin' Preacher's still out there. He is doing a Saturn collection, so he's going and collecting all the second Saturn games and kind of doing the mission to do that. And I was wondering if he had this one, but this is a fantastic game. It's kind of if you see next week, so I'm not gonna give anything out about what happens next week. But next week is beat 'em ups, and there are several games very similar to this that are out on next week's show. So that's with our buddy Keith from Blerdish. So make sure you tune in next Friday for that. But this is a fantastic game. I love this. I never owned a Saturn. Saturn was I was not in the 5% of people that actually purchased this. And I've only played these games later as, downloadable content on the computer. And now I have the RetroPie and stuff to play a couple of them. But yeah, I didn't play a lot of these too much. Was this a port though? Was this an arcade game?
No, it was originally designed for the Saturn, but like you were saying, like Saturn was one of those systems that was hard to catch. If you didn't get it when it came out, the emulation on it was so poor for so long.
Yeah, it was
like in the last few years you've been able to finally do it. But the original game came out on the Saturn, and like I said, they later ported it, like I said, to the Xbox Live, and it might be on the PS4 on the
I think I played it as a downloadable content from somewhere, like whether it was Xbox or whatever. I've played this game. It's fun. It's a good game.
Great game. If you love beat 'em ups, it's probably one of the best.
I've not played this one either. Sega Saturn was not where I was at. I was laughing at the size of the box for that. The thing was like a VHS, man. Look at that.
Yeah, they're hefty, and this one's actually still got the hinges intact. These things were notoriously fragile.
That's awesome, though. Not a lot of love. Props for giving love to the Sega Saturn, though, because we don't hear about it. We definitely don't hear about
that.
I could sit here and talk for 2 hours about games on the Saturn. I love it. It's one of my favorite.
It is a cool system. It has definitely a different niche in the gaming world. Look, I'm going to jump. So the last one I did Super Nintendo. This one I'm going to jump even further back to. I've mentioned this game once on the show. I believe I had it as a honorable mention on that particular one. But I love this game. Sunk a ton of hours in it. It fits my favorite genre of games. So I know Andy has never played it. So, but I'm betting that Kevin, you've played this game. But beaten it probably 2 or 3 times. It is Crystalis. Theirs is with my good old name from the original time owning it, or Crystalis, some folks say. But Crystalis, this game is kind of role-playing Zelda-ish, top-down adventure game. You collect experience points and level up, which is kind of the role-playing element, and then you obviously have armor and some magics. One of the cool things is you charged his weapon and he like threw like different like lightning bolts and whatnot. But I love the design. I love the puzzle of the dungeons. Very Zelda. Very like the Lost in Time Zelda.
Link to the Past.
Yes, Link to the Past. The dungeons were very similar to that. I remember. I freaking love this game. I put so many hours. I can remember restarting this game and playing the first like level and a half probably 1,000,000 times, and then restarting. And I mean, it had the battery pack on the back, the gold sticker, and sometimes that thing fails. I can remember redoing this game over and over and over. Great music, great gameplay, great. Just the reaction to the controller. It didn't have a lot of slide or anything. It was just a perfectly good game, but not a lot of people. And from another cool company, from one of my favorite sports games of all time, Baseball Stars, the old SNK. This is their stab at kind of adventure RPG, and it was fantastic. It's a fantastic game.
Definitely. That was almost a Rushmore because I almost selected that game.
Wow.
Yeah. Love that game.
Nice.
Fantastic.
We just escaped it.
That close.
Yeah, that close. So I took one of your Benjamins, I'm sure.
Not anymore.
So, Andy, we've talked about this already. You don't know much about this particular game, but I would say this. If you were to play role-playing games, because I know you like Zelda, and
I like Pokemon. It almost. I was just Googling
This is a real time.
Right.
This isn't the click, attack, hit.
I don't like turn-based RPG. And to get it turn-based out of here, it's boring.
This is more of the adventure style. I think you would like it.
I'm cool with that. I've tried it for sure.
It's Zelda where you can level up. That's basically what it is. Cool spells, awesome game, good story.
Nice.
All right, Andy, you're up, man. We're going Genesis again?
We're not. We're actually going to go to a place I don't think we've gone before. I really don't think maybe we've done a lot of video games, so it's potentially that we've gone to this before, but I'm going to go to the PC. I'm going to go to the computer, the home computer.
Ow!
I'm going to queue up Microsoft Windows. And now, let me say this. This game has had sequels and has come out on the N64. 64 has a good one. Has come out on the PlayStation, has been out there for a while, but it all started for me back in 1994. This game comes out on the PC. And like I said in my criteria, there was other games along sort of kind of this style that are probably more critically acclaimed as being better. But I just love this game for so many reasons. Let me pull this up. I'm sorry, I'm pulling up my notes here, and I'm just because I want to make sure that I get this right. But back in 1994, this comes out. This is on the computer where I was playing it. Part of the reason I love it is the soundtrack, the gameplay, all of these things. And I'm gonna go Road Rash. Road Rash was one of my favorite racing games. Here's the thing: it wasn't just any racing game, right? It wasn't just any, just run of the mill hey, let's get to the finish line. Obviously, like that is the main objective, but in the middle of it, it's also a fighting game because you are punching other guys off their motorcycles. You're getting clubs and you're beating them. You've got cops that are chasing you also that you're trying to get off of your tail. You've got all of these things that are happening in here, and it's so fun. There's a couple things. The gameplay was really cool. The soundtrack, Soundgarden, Rusty Cage. Soundgarden had like 4 songs, and Outshined was on there. Like this was how I first heard these songs. Was in
That's
Road
awesome.
They had I think like Monster Magnet was in this game. Like there's so many cool grungy alternative bands and songs were in this thing. One of the other really fun things is that if you didn't place very high in the race, they would give you a prize at the end, or they'd tell you what your prize was, and it'd be like a box of moist towelettes was your prize. Or something. It would be something like that. They would say something. Some of the comments that they were making, it was so many. It was such a fun game. It's high paced, action beat 'em up / racer. I don't even know what you want to call it, but super fun game. And I really, honestly, I don't hear many people talk about Road Rash anymore. I had this for our computer at home, and I remember just spending hours like on my keyboard, like playing this game and just having a ton of fun. Like I said, the 64 version was great. I had that. It came out on PlayStation. It was great, right? They had multiple different, I think it got up to Road Rash. I don't even know what number. There was a ton of them. So this was a super fun game, and I think highly underrated.
Yeah, no, I played it on the Genesis when you were saying that it wasn't on the Genesis, but yeah, I know they had 2 of them on there. Played the hell out of them. Played a ton of it. Fantastic game, a lot of fun.
Road Rash was a lot of fun. I love the idea of it being a motorcycle, and I remember like knocking the motorcycle cop off, and that dude, it was kind of when you have fun games, like you're kind of doing things that you don't normally do, and that's like, oh, that's fun. I think that's what kind of made GTA such a big deal. Like a lot of people are never going to get to do a lot of those things, but like when the music's just rocking and you're pulling that bike left and right, it's a good game. I love this, but when you said PC, I had a bunch of things going through my mind.
I didn't even know they came out on PC.
Wasn't it? Road Rash was, I believe it was an arcade port, but I know it was Genesis for sure. And but yeah, man, I love this pick. This is a great pick.
Yep.
There's a couple other PC games that may make my Benjamins later. I had a lot of PC games.
And I was getting nervous because I almost put some PCs there for a little later. But if you're going yank some PC games out, I might have to pull some out too, because there are a few that I really love that are kind of underrated. But hey, man, that's the first half of our mountain. And before we get to you, Kev, let's take a break. Usually this is the time in our pre-recorded time where we kind of throw a commercial up here for all of our friends, but and have an underrated game. But this is the time where we're going to kind of celebrate some of the folks that are doing this journey with us. Up here in the corner, right over there, right above my head, is Culture Box. And Culture Box is a group of like-minded creators. We're doing content that are in the nerdy, nostalgia, geeky world, but we all are like-minded. We're all Christian creators. We all are people that can support each other. And each and every week, we like to highlight someone. And today, we're going to highlight some of our friends that we actually, Andy, just a couple days ago, spent some time with. Andy, why don't you tell us a little bit about Cellcast?
Well, the Cellcast, good friends of ours. We got Drew, and there's another guy. He's a little busy right now. Jacob, I don't know what he did something very important lately, huh? Oh, he got married. That's right. So he's out for a little bit. Hey, congratulations again. Well, look, the Cellcast, let's talk about him. The Cellcast is hosted by Jacob and Drew, and they review animated movies and TV shows, discussing what they appreciate about the medium in whatever form it takes, whether it's a traditional hand-drawn animated movie, claymation shorts, or a 3D CGI series. Check out some animated reviews when you subscribe to the Cellcast at thecellcast.com. cellcast.podbean.com. And don't forget, cell is spelled with a C and a single L at thecellcast.podbean.com. Go check them out. We love them. We just we had a ton of fun talking about shorts, saluting our shorts on Tuesday.
Salute your shorts. So he invited us over. It's cuz Jacob's getting married. Congrats, Jacob, to you and your wife. They're calling it the Heron hiatus. Jacob Heron's out, and all of us creators are jumping in to fill in. And we did. You had to pick your favorite short, and we picked 2 Pixar shorts, which is funny that it's the first time they've ever had that on their cartoon channel to do some Pixar shorts. But hey, look, let me also share. We are coming up very soon, in about 2-3 weeks away from being down in Morgan City, Louisiana for Louisiana RetroCon. We've been asked to do a lot of things. We are running some of the panels. We're kind of the MC for the event. We love Davey and everything that he's doing, and he has afforded us an opportunity on Sunday of that event to do a Christian devotion, a Christian message to kick off our unconventional ministry. And with that being said, it's time to cue up the video.
Prepare to make the jump to light speed.
They're getting closer.
Oh, yeah? Watch this.
There it is.
Andy,
Unconventional.
are you excited for this?
I'm excited. I'm kind of bummed though, because RetroCon, I'm going to have to miss this one because of ministry and everything. But at St. Tammany Collectors Con, I will be there for.
So this is the deal we're making. If you show up to Louisiana RetroCon, you are going to hear a message with me. I'm already kind of working on it. Their theme this year is Five Nights at Freddy's. I'm going to do a little thing on just being accepted out in the world, even though you're different. And we are going to share that message coming up. And just come hang out with us. It's just going to be a bunch of guys. We'll chat through a few things. But you'll also see us in a panel out there. And then at St. Tammany Collectors Con, I believe we're also going to have an opportunity to do a panel. And Andy, you're going to be up throwing down the message gauntlet bound there in Mandeville, which will be around April 20th. I think Retro Cannon, he's in the comments. He'll be able to come and hang out with us for that one, hopefully, if it all works out correctly. But yeah, it's going to be an amazing time.
Hey, I just want to get this real quick. Game Junction has joined in the chat and shared their top 4 underrated games. Fury, I'm assuming. I don't know if that's furry. Hopefully it's not. I don't know. Killer 7, Illusion of Gaia. And then here we go. The
Warriors come out and play. Hey, Game Junction, if you like Warriors, I'm here to tell you, you're going to want to be here next week when we drop our episode, because let's just say somebody out there really likes that game. So, but hey, thanks for dropping your top 4 down there. It is now time for our second half of the mountain. These are our 2 favorites. And Kevin, you're up with the first one, and we call him Link. So with that being said,
there's no way. There's
no way you're going to there's no way you can have Link on this one, but let's see what you got.
So I don't share the same love for the 64 that Andy does. 64 is a good system, had some good games on it, but one of mine that I did pick never came out in America. They did have a sequel that came out over here for the Wii, but that one's going to be Sin and Punishment. It's an on-rail shooter made by Treasure. Fantastic game, just a lot of fun. It's kind of hard to describe. I mean, kind of picture Star Fox, but you're controlling a character instead. The screen's moving for you, so one controller moves your person, the analog stick moves your reticle to be able to shoot. Just a lot of fun. Pretty tough game. The one that came out on the Wii, they actually made a sequel on the Wii that did come out here. Similar style, you can play with the Wiimote, but I mean, all around just it only had those 2 games, but great series. The Sin and Punishment for the 64 did end up coming out on the WiiWare channel, so you could have grabbed it there, but had to import it back in the day. So that was kind of one of the, when I was looking at criteria too, that, that was another one I started going with was games that never came out here, but couldn't match up 4 of them that I wanted that way. But yeah, Sin and Punishment for the 64. Amazing game.
So I've not played this game, but I will tell you that every time I've done research on some 64 games, what are the underrated ones? What are the ones that people are looking for? And Sin and Punishment always comes on there, and I've seen the gameplay, and it's awesome. It looks great. So this looks like a super fun game. I definitely want to play this one. I haven't looked up the prices of what you can find it for now, but I'm assuming that since it's a Japanese only release, it's probably a little difficult to come by.
Yeah, I don't remember how much it's jumped up to at this point. I mean, I remember importing it back in the day, but pick it up on WiiWare, pick it up digitally, because I'm sure it's been re-released somewhere.
I'm trying to get all the cartridges, man.
Oh, I hear you.
So here's the deal. I know this game, never played it, and I know I've seen it. I love the game actually, as far as the design, because I'm going to throw this out there. Treasure. That's just, sorry. Treasure is a fantastic company when it comes to underrated games. There are so many in their library that I was kind of looking at for this. And there's a few that probably are in a running for me for a Benjamin. So I will say that. Maybe showing away a card or two. But I absolutely love what they do for games. But hey, I'm going to jump in. Now, my 1 and 2 are my 2 favorite, most underrated games of all time. One of them, look, when I was doing my research, I was like, is this really an underrated game? I found 5 different videos calling it an underrated game. So I'm just going to go out there and call it an underrated game because to me, it should not be underrated. It is one of the best games I've ever played. I actually mentioned it in an honorable mention for my PlayStation 2. And since we are Link, I'm going to go with what I thought you were going to say, Kevin, as your Link clone. I'm going with Dark Cloud. This game's almost as good as, if not better than freaking Zelda. This game is so awesome. Shout out to Radbash. Shout out to, because Radbash loves this game. Shout out to Matt Belmont and shout out to Iowa Retro Gamer Dad. Both of them are streaming this game on their channels right now. Dark Cloud. It's one of the first games I got for the PlayStation 2. It is identical. I mean, the character even so much as looks like Link with the green hat. There are so many things that this game is so much like, but fun game, adventure game, same kind of setting. It's, again, when you mentioned that first one, I was like, oh, is he really doing that on your first one? And I'm going to have to crush with him, which I didn't think we were going to do today. But Dark Cloud. Andy, I know I've mentioned it before, and I think you said you never played, but I'm sure Kevin's played this game. Got to.
Yep.
Yeah, I've never played this game. It does look fun. It looks. Again, I'm going off of screenshots and stuff. I'm gonna have to watch some videos of some gameplay, but looks like a ton of fun. Looks like it looks good. When you just play a game, it graphically looks good. So, and this did pull up on those underrated lists, but I do know that a lot of people like this one. I know you in particular, Kirk, have mentioned this one plenty of times.
Busting out the strategy guide.
There it is. Which it has it on the greatest hit. So I looked up how many copies did it sell, and it was kind of funny. It said it sold like 1 million copies, and then it said by 1 million copies in like 2005 or something like that, and then it said by 2021 it sold just over 1 million copies, and I was like, oh, so it didn't sell anymore after that first year. But I was like, man, is it underrated? And I found 4 or 5 videos talking about it. So I was like, I'm going to go with it. I'm going to go with it. It fits the link, and it fits one of my favorite games, and it fits one of my favorite criteria, my favorite systems. So there you go. That's going to be.
It was one that was considered for my list too. Great game. Had a good sequel on it too. You know, I mean, I know they.
That was also. So you threw me, and you were like, "Hey, there's one," but I found out it had a sequel, and I was like, "Dang it!" Because I know Dark Cloud has a sequel, but nobody really ever played it, and I wonder if that's. And when you said it, I was like, "Oh man." We're going to match. We're going to. All right. So cool.
All right. Well,
Andy, you're up. You're number two. You're number two.
This one's fun, man. So this is a 2D fighter. You've got your classics, right? You got your Mortal Kombat, you got your Street Fighters, you got these just iconic ones. But this one, I've talked about this before.
I think you know where you're going.
I love this game. I played this more than I played Street Fighter growing up. And I'm going to go to originally released in Japan under the title Samurai Spirits. I'm going to, it was an arcade game, but I played it on the Super Nintendo actually. And I'm going with Samurai Showdown. Samurai Showdown was tons of fun. The characters in this, I thought, were better than the characters in Street Fighter. That was because I just played it more, right? I just liked it. Again, it's set in like the 18th century, like feudal Japan, right, is where this is set. It's got a ton of great characters. One of the really cool parts about this gameplay was the fact that it was primarily, it was weapons-based kind of gameplay, so it was a lot more strategy in how you approached it. Just awesome character development. The sprites are great. I always played, and I'm going to get all of these names wrong, right? But I always played as Hanzo. I played as Jubei, or Tam Tam was fun. He was like this native. But one of my favorites right here, Earthquake. Earthquake was like the Zangief giant dude with like this metal claw thing he would on a chain throw at you. But here's what I loved about this. Again, so many awesome elements to this. But what made the fighting super cool and interesting was they had what they called the rage gauge, right? And if you did enough damage to your opponent, your guy would begin raging, right? And you could unlock almost like this more powerful move, almost like in some of the N64 WWF wrestling games when you'd have to build up stamina to do your finisher. That's almost kind of what happened with this rage gauge. I loved this game. You had I can't pronounce it right, but Ganon or whatever, that was almost like a Blanca type guy, like a Blanca / Baraka kind of fusion thing. So many cool things. Some of the fighters had animals that you could then send to sick people and to do attacks. Like one of the girls, I think, had a bird, like a raven or something, and one of the guys had a dog. It was just really cool. Like that was their weapon. Their weapon was their animal, which was like that wasn't happening in these other 2D fighter games. So I loved this. I still can hear every time that you would win a battle, like the like all the noises and everything that would take place. Dude, Samurai Showdown. I fought to put this at my George because it is so good. And I've literally never heard anyone talk about this game other than me about it.
I'm gonna throw this out there. We were going to do fighting games this year with World of Kayfabe. We were going to do that as an episode when we were looking to try to fill out. He was going to do 2 episodes for us, fighting games. This is on my Rushmore. And it's on my Rushmore, not for playing it in a home system, because it did make it to a home system, but in the mall that Kevin and I were just talking before the show that we worked in, right there at in the mall, they had this game, and I sunk so much money into this game. I love the Ryu, the clone. What's his Homaru or whatever. He used to take his sword and he would do like almost a Shang Tsung. What the uppercut, and he would do it with the sword. Right. And then you had Galford, which is the guy with the dog. He was one of my favorites. That Earthquake guy. Gosh, I hated that guy. He took up like the whole screen.
Took up the whole screen.
Took up like the whole screen. And he would just be like, and he would hit you with that dang thing. And There were so many cool characters. I like there was a ninja, or there was like a martial artist guy, and he kind of like walked backwards, and he kept the sword behind him.
Yes,
and he was like,
with the blue hair, hair.
Love that dude. Love that guy. That guy that you're talking about with the crazy claws. He's a little strange, but it's a great game. This is a fun game. If you love fighting games, this is got to be on your list unless you've never played it. I love this one. And there's one other game that the cabinets were almost in the same exact spot. I think when Showdown left, this other one came in. It would also be on my fighting game list, and it could be an underrated game. And it moved right into almost the same exact spot over there at Pocket Change, or it was one up at one time too. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I played a ton of it. Can't say I played more than Street Fighter 2 because I played an unhealthy amount of Street Fighter 2.
I remember seeing Kevin
with that freaking game.
And look, I'm going to tell you, I don't know if I'm kind of labeling or whatever, but there was about 7 Asian guys that were in Pocket Change at all times, kicking the crap out of everybody. And I remember going in and seeing Kevin whoop them and beat those guys. I remember the quarters were like lined up, right? And then those guys all moved to go Dance Revolution. And Kevin just kept playing fighting games till no end. He was insane. I remember you had that crazy thumb, dude. You still have that crazy thumb, and you would just – it was so awesome. But hey, yeah. Hey, there he is, dude. I just mentioned our Dark Cloud. You are streaming Dark Cloud. How'd you like it? Tell me in the comments, Iowa. I didn't get to watch it, so yeah, man.
Samurai Showdown was one of those that made me want a Neo Geo home system so bad, but realize 99% of the population could never afford one. But yeah, great game, amazing. Love the Neo Geo.
Hey, Iowa, we're talking about underrated games, man. I'd be interested. What's your top 4 underrated? Put them in the comments, man.
Also, another SNK game. That's another SNK game.
Yeah,
that is sweet. Hey, so we're to the George. Iowa, you showed up just in time. We're to the number 1 best underrated game of all time. All right, so you're up.
All right, so went with one for the Xbox. Game made by Insomniac. It's probably the only game they made that never got sequels. Everything else, Spyro, Ratchet and Clank. I mean, they're doing the Spider-Man games now, so definitely know what they're doing. But Xbox One, Sunset Overdrive, criminally underrated, fantastic game. But storyline is, completely crazy. There's an energy drink company that made a drink that started mutating people, and you worked at the company, so now you got to go around town and destroy all the monsters. Traveling around the town was kind of, you grinded on everything, kind of like Jet Set Radio,
right.
Those games. So the traveling, the moving around the city was fun. A huge city. Like I said, completely open world game, had your missions, had everything, kind of set up like, most every other open world game of, GTA, any of those. So it probably just got buried in the crowd of them. But definitely one that, I would have loved to see another one, but they're never going to go back at this point. Spider-Man's too popular for them.
Again, 4 games that I haven't played. So, it's a good list.
Overdrive.
Speaking of 4 games I've never played, look at Iowa's list. That's 4 games I don't think I've ever played. Oh, Lagai, I've played that. American Gladiators on Nintendo. That's a hard, deep cut, man. Yeah, I love that, man. Iowa was on our show. Everybody, Iowa was on the show a couple weeks back, and he did top 4 villains. So go check his page out. Fantastic streamer. He talks a lot about gaming addiction and collection. Man, go check his stuff out. We're so glad that you're a part of the crew, Retro Gamer Dad. So, man, I love this pick. It is so. I talk about this often. This phenomena that video games have gone from, and right now we're on Twitch. If you are out there, go and jump on over to the Twitch side and the purple side and follow us. But we see video games. Like, I remember as a kid, I never wanted to watch somebody play, right? It was always the fight. Like, is it my turn yet? Is it your turn? Like even going to your house, Kevin, like we'd all sit and watch you play. And obviously it's your house we all respect, and you're playing more than we do. And you come to my house, I play more than you guys do. And that's just how that goes. Nowadays, man, I will log in and watch people play games just in the background all the time. Like and this game is played at an unhealthy amount online. Like people are playing this all over the place. Probably not as much as they used to, but I've seen it so much. All the grinding and that you're saying you're collecting all that. They're like blue. Is it like paint or I don't remember what it is, like diamonds or something. But
I think it's energy drinks. Yeah.
The energy drinks. So you're collecting all those. And you're all like, I love the sprite. We mentioned the sprites. That's like our new word in video game world. But I love just how this game looks. It's
super
beautiful.
colorful. Just great.
It's so colorful. It's fantastic. I love this game. What a great pick. I would not have picked this. I'm not an Xbox One guy, and I've never played it, but I have watched several people play it online.
It's definitely one that, it got pretty fair reviews and all that, just for whatever reason, I guess it didn't sell enough, wasn't popular enough, but yeah, would have been nice, what could have been, of, exploring that city, but could have been a good one. Could have had a, long series of games on it. Yeah.
Andy, I'm sure you don't have much to say about this, but have you seen this?
Not until literally just now. So yeah. It looks awesome, man. It looks fun. So here's the deal. So like all of these newer games and like really Wii was probably the last system that I like had and kind of kept up with. After that, I kind of fell off of these because, just got into like starting a family. I just, you know what I mean? Like I didn't spend as much time on video games. I got rid of all my old stuff. Just recently started collecting the 64 again for nostalgia purposes and everything. So like there's all these new games that if I would have still been in it, absolutely looks like games I would have played and looks super fun. So I got nothing bad to say about it. I don't have anything really to say about them, but other than I wish I was still in that stuff, or I was at the time, so that I could have more knowledge on these because it looks super fun. Super fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, I'll just jump into mine. This game here, when I say we're picking underrated, my number one word for this is nostalgia. It's not the best game. It's not even the best game in its type of game. It's not even probably in the top 4 best games of the system of that type of game. There's so many other. And here's the thing. It's a sports game, and it's not the sports game that everybody goes to. It's not like football, baseball, basketball. It's not none of those. But this game, I spent it is the number one for me party game. When this game came out and I had it, my friends, Rudy, Barrett, Wayne, all those guys, we'd come over to the house. At that time, we'd usually have a case of beer or something like that. And we just sat around and played the heck out of this game. And it is Hot Shots Golf number 3. And let me just tell you, this game is not Tiger Woods. It is not, again, the Tiger Woods games are amazing. I've mentioned them before. I even kind of talked about mentioning this in the PlayStation 2. But when you go to underrated, it is so fun. Anybody can play it. It's E for everyone. It has the very cartoony characters. It is very simple to pick up and put down, but it is so fun. There's like battles and there's all these other things that you can do. I love this game. This is my original copy. And here's the crazy thing. You could go and pick it up right now for about $2. Like, that's how underrated I would say this game is. You can pick it up anywhere you want for like nothing. They'll probably say, here, take this game. We don't want it. We have extra copies. When I'm thinking of underrated, I'm thinking of something that's nostalgia, something that's fun, that is absolutely not on anybody's radar. And I would have to say this is my favorite.
Here it is. I've played a game that got mentioned today. I've played this game. Yeah, this is super fun, cartoony. almost reminds me a little bit, and again, not completely, but of like the Wii Golf feel.
That's what I was
Well,
about to
the
say.
music is very similar. The music is very similar, like the background, the noises. I mean, you have like this guy here, like he's a Australian guy with a snake. He's in the game. You got the girl, obviously, the main guy, which is this main guy here on the cover. You know, the caddy's always laughing at you and stuff and doing whatever. I love this game. I love the gosh, it's so fun. I might actually play this game tonight when we get off.
You started talking about sports games. I thought you was going to go back and talk about baseball stars for the Nintendo. I remember you playing that game.
I would say that is not an underrated game at any stretch. But yes, that is an SNK game. That's that was the game, man. I played that, and if we did a sports, it's probably on the list. It's definitely on
that's where you were going for a second.
Which Iowa Retro Gamer Dad is here. I mentioned it in that show. No, it was Retro Kart. It was Retro Kart.
Look, this was a comment earlier in the stream tonight.
Yeah,
Baseball Stars for the
Baseball Stars is legit underrated. It is underrated, but I wouldn't call it underrated because if you are a collector, you know that one. For a while, it was one of the most expensive games on the unit. It's not anymore, but it was. But so you guys love it. So that's awesome. At least something that you know, Andy. So Andy, where are you going now? Finishing off the first set of the mountain.
We started Sega Genesis. We're ending Sega Genesis.
No, don't do that because there's a bunch there waiting for me.
Well, I don't think this one's on your list. Potentially Benjamin's. I have shared this multiple times. It's no secret that I love this game. When you think of and a few weeks ago, we did this topic, right? We talked about platformers. And platformer is probably the most classic style of game, right? I mean, if you're thinking video games, you're thinking your Marios and your Donkey Kong, the platformer, right? It's just kind of a classic go-to style. This one never gets mentioned unless you're typing in underrated before you type in platformer. So this is absolutely one people are going to agree on. I don't know how many people played this because, again, I feel like I'm in this.
Oh, I know where you're going now. Yeah.
This small little group of people who played this game. But I will tell you, the few people that I have mentioned this game to that have played it absolutely adore this game. The sprites are fantastic. The gameplay is smooth. The soundtrack is fantastic. I'm going to go to my favorite, most underrated game of all time. I'm going to the Genesis with Rocket Knight Adventures. Rocket Knight Adventures was insanely fun, right? So you're an opossum named Sparkster is his name, and you're going through, again, just a platformer, this style, and so much fun. I mean, I don't really have much to say about it as far as like if you know what a platformer is, you've played this. But what's really cool is that this platformer, almost every level has a different feel to it in the sense of like your first level is a traditional, you're just, point A to point B, right? Kind of, platformer. But then you got one where you are flying right across, almost very Battletoads-esque, where, with that jet ski kind of level. I think the next level, you're flying through this level. You've got another level where you're in a cave and you're having to do these different moves to bounce off the walls to progress upward through the whole thing. You've got another level where you're actually like swimming. So many different things. The environments are so bright and just interactive and fun. The cool thing is all of your enemies kind of come from like behind you, but not like behind you, but like further back in this 2D background, and then they hop in. It's winnable in the sense of like it's not the most difficult game, but it's difficult enough to still keep its fun. Some of the bosses were pretty difficult. I'm just telling you, man, this is my biggest regret as far as games that I got rid of as a kid, even more so than the N64. And I think potentially because I'm collecting it again and I'm reliving that, but I don't have Rocket Knight Adventures. I absolutely adore this game. I've shared it plenty of times. My number one, Rocket Knight Adventures. I'm interested to see, is there anyone who has played this game? So Iowa, if you're still here, have you played this game? I just love it.
I will say this. This game is fantastic. Came out in 1993. I had to look it up because I was fairly certain it came out at the end of the run for Genesis. There were some other new systems kind of coming out. That's why it didn't get as much love. But I didn't realize that one of the last games made was Frogger in 98. So it was probably right about in the middle. But still, I bet Saturn and CD.
Konami put this game out too. So
yeah, Sega Saturn, Sega CD, and all that was probably coming out right around that same time and kind of taking away from this game. This game is awesome. I did not play this game until much later in the run. I didn't have a Genesis, but I remember the dawn of the internet, which is hilarious to even think about. And you start like searching. I remember one of the first things we talked about this in cartoons. You would go back and I'd be like, I'm trying to remember all these cartoons and spark all the nostalgia. And there were all these little pages that were popping up, the best cartoons ever and this. Well, then video games, they had these pages popping up, the best Genesis games ever. And you're like, you're sucked in. You're like, what is that? And then, when emulators and things like that started coming out, this was a game that said you have to have it. I downloaded this as an emulator, and it's freaking awesome. I love this game. It is so fun. The again, talking about sprites, right? It's beautiful. It is a fun game. It is very underrated. It didn't get the love that it should have. It's a great pick.
Finding out it had a sequel, Sparkster Rocket Knight Adventures 2 for the Genesis. And then Rocket Knight came out, and it says various platforms in 2010, actually.
And they had a Super Nintendo version called Sparkster as well. Not as good as the Genesis one, but Genesis one was during that time where I was just, addicted to video games. Not that I'm still not, but I mean, I played back then. I had the time to play video games. Let's put it that way.
Right, for sure.
But yeah, that fantastic game, and yeah, they do have sequels. I haven't played any of the newer ones. They all look great. But just
I didn't even, dude. That is a again, third time I've used this word today, which I don't usually use. Deep cut Sparkster, dude. I didn't even know that was even a thing. I'm like looking that up. I'm like, wow. But I do know like the Rocket Knight Adventures. This is a great game, man. That's not the one I thought you were gonna pick. Which I'm glad you didn't pick the one I thought you were gonna pick because it's on your thing next week. And so I was like, oh, is he gonna drop that? Is he gonna drop that? Yeah,
I'm not dropping that
platformers for the Genesis. I thought there was a couple others I had in mind too that were on my short list. So,
we still have Benjamins to go though. So.
We still have Benjamins, and it is time. So look, man, what a great list! Totally different. No Crushmores, which means we won't have the Crushmore today. But man, at all. So it won't work. So we are going to move into our second portion. I see a couple friends down there. Put your top 4 down in the bottom of what your most underrated games are. Underrated games are very hard to think on the fly. So if you don't, come back and drop them. But we're going to jump into the next part, which is our honorable mentions. We call it All About the Benjamins. We'll be right back. All right, guys, it's all about the Benjamins. Benjamin Franklin was widely considered to be the 5th guy on the mountain. So what better way to call our honorable mentions Benjamins? And we love the old throwback to 90s hip hop. But hey, we are going to give our next few that need to get a mention. I mean, if they're underrated, they might not ever get mentioned again if they don't mention them here. So I've got my list ready. Kevin, you're up first. I'm second, then Andy. Second round comes back the other way. You're going to get back-to-back picks for your second and third. Andy's got back-to-back picks both times, and I'll be in the middle the whole time. So let's go. You're up number 1, Kevin. What is the most underrated game that hasn't been mentioned yet today?
So mine was originally released on the original Xbox in Japan only. Never came out over here. But I got the re-release that came out for the PS4, and I bought it digitally before I have this, so the game's still sealed. Metal Wolf Chaos. I don't know how good that's coming out. Crazy game. You play the president of the United States who jumps in a mech to basically the vice president has staged a coup and took over the country. So you as the president have to go take it back. So you jump in a giant mech made by From Software, the guys that did all the Dark Souls and Demon Souls games.
Nice.
And they also did the Armored Core one. So, kind of little Armored Core flavor, but you don't have as much of the customization that goes on. But just a crazy game. It's just
Nice.
a silly story, and it doesn't take itself serious. That's what's good. But fun game. The
That
original
sounds
Xbox
amazing.
one probably a little pricey to grab, but the remake that came out on a PS4, all they did was kind of update the graphics a little, but it's the exact same game, and it's a ton of fun.
Nice.
I've
All
never
right.
played this game. That's a great choice. I love the fact that I've never played it. So, hey, look, I'm going to jump in and let me go over here to the comments real quick and let me drop this because that's my first pick. Hey, look, my first pick is from Treasure, Gunstar Heroes. Now, this game was originally going to be done by Konami, and it actually came out under Treasure. And you mentioned the Treasure games earlier. I had a few on my list. This game is insane. I don't know that they can put any more bullets on the screen. There is stuff going everywhere. It is a platformer. It is so fun. It is so beautiful to look at. It is a fantastic game. And one of the reasons that I'm bringing this up, Kevin. So back in 1991, when this game came out, I actually bought the MGH from you. And this game was one of the fantastic games on the disc that I had that you sent over in the time that I purchased this. This, Dragon Ball Z, several other games. And for all my friends out there, I actually bought a system from him. You can go back and look at the history of that system, but I brought it with some money I acquired from another place. And I actually purchased it from Kevin. So here is the true story. I actually really did do that. And this was one of my favorite games you sent over with it, Kevin.
That is absolutely my
Gunstar
favorite Genesis game of all time.
What's that?
Absolute favorite Genesis game of all time. That game is fantastic.
Nice.
It is so good. It is so good. But yeah, I don't remember playing it too much after I lost the MGH or sold the MGH or whatever happened with it. But yeah, I love that game.
All right.
So,
all right.
Andy, you're up.
All right, so I'm bummed because I have such a long list of Benjamins, and I know they're not going to be talked about. I feel like I'm going to cheat a little bit at the end of the year. We're going to give you some
Extras.
some Lyndon B. Johnsons. I don't know. We're going to give you some. We're going to give
some recognitions.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Some little extra. This game is so fun. It's so campy. It's so ridiculous. It's so. Kirk, I think we've talked about this game before, and I think that I stumped you on this game. Like, I think we had to look it up, and you were like, I can't remember if you remember playing it or like you had forgotten about it, and this just jogged your memory or whatever. So correct me if I'm wrong. I played it on the Super Nintendo. I think it came out on multiple platforms. It's a fighting game, but it's not quite 2D because it's 3D, and it's got potentially the greatest name of all time for a game. It's just called Balls. Balls. So it was like these 3D characters that were just made out of spheres, but it was a fighting game, but it was so weird, man. Yeah. It was like a fever dream, weird kind of game. But I remember playing the heck out of this game. Balls was such a funny game. I love this game, so I had to give a nod to it. I played it a ton, and my next one that's going to be on my list. This one may potential. I'm going to put it in underrated. And it's a platformer. And if you know anything about me as being like a 90s, 2000s kid, just think of being a super immature little boy playing this video game, and I'm going. Booger Man.
That freaking game is hilarious.
It's so funny and so gross and just everything that's beautiful about it. So I'm gonna go with Booger Man.
All right. Well, I'm gonna throw out another game. This game wasn't necessarily on my top 4 for the same reasons that I actually put Dark Cloud on my top 4. I thought it might not be necessarily underrated, but it definitely has a cult following, if you will. There's people that know it and they love it. It's actually mentioned next week briefly in the beat 'em up. So come and check that out. But I'm going with another Super Nintendo game, and it is fantastic. It's probably one of the best Super Nintendo games of all time. And when I do the SNES, it might be there. But I am going with Legend of the Mystical Ninja. And man, what like this game is so good. It is just bar none one of the best games I've ever seen. But when you mention like the Zeldas and the Marios and the Sonics of the world, it's never ever in those lists. It's just not, and I don't know why. It is fantastic. It is great to look at, great music, great story, funny characters, lots of comedy. It's a fantastic game, and it's got tons of sequels.
I actually played through that fairly recently, and they actually had a couple sequels to it for the Super Nintendo. It only came out in Japan. I played through all three of them pretty, it's been about a few months or so, but they were all disappointing, underrated, definitely, because we never saw the sequels, so the sales weren't there, I guess, enough to get those sequels out. But they were all fantastic.
I just love like the bosses had like these big, just animated. It kind of reminds me of like Cuphead type graphics for like some of those things, like, but it's just so fun. This game is so good. And look, it's also that one I mentioned earlier with Lost Vikings. It is one of those games that I had, and I just don't know where it went. It just sucks, man. I had that game. And
Konami could actually make good games.
How do you pronounce the character's name? Goemon.
Yeah.
Dude, that game for the 64 is one of the more highly sought after ones, and it is a ton of fun. So I love this. There's so many in this series.
And look, I have to say this, Andy. I kind of skipped over this, and I'm sorry. I apologize. But Balls was the game that I thought you were going to name for Samurai Showdown.
No way.
Yeah. Anyways, when you said fighting game, I was like, is he going balls again? Anyways, but yeah, this is fantastic game. Fantastic games, fun stuff. Kevin. Oh yeah, there it is. Look at that. You got
fantastic game.
Kevin, you get back-to-back picks here.
Second and third pick. All right, so I saw someone mention Illusion of Gaia in the comments. Illusion of Gaia and Soul Blazer were fantastic games. And this is
I remember playing Soul Blazer at your house.
Soul Blazer was great.
I remember that.
One that never came out in America, and it was the third, I guess, not sequel to it all. Not that those two were sequels, but Terra Nigma came out in Europe.
Wow! Look, you've got it in the cart, the box, and everything.
Oh yeah, Terra Nigma. But basically, third part in a series of Soul Blazer or Soul Blader and Illusion of Gaia, but plays similar to it. It's Zelda with, Zelda where you can level up, but, of course it was released later on in the SNES lifespan. So graphics were fantastic, just ton of fun to play. I'm going to cheat a little bit on the next one, only because I'm going to make it a twofer.
Go for it.
But two shooters, we keep bringing up Treasure over and over again because they keep making so many good games, but that was for the Saturn. And for the Dreamcast, Ikaruga and Radiant Silvergun shooters.
Wow!
So if you like,
those are
like Gradius or any kind of shooter game, shoot 'em up games, these games were fantastic. I mean, Radiant Silvergun was just an amazing game. Ikaruga, and both of them have been re-released. But Ikaruga had a weird system in it to where the enemies would shoot two different color bullets, and you could alternate and flip flop the ship, so it became even more chaotic of a shooter to play. But first ones I brought up for shoot 'em ups, but love my shoot 'em ups. I've built several arcade sticks to enjoy them. Great games though.
Nice.
Yeah, I love shooters. I don't like first person shooters. Not because they're not fun. I'm just terrible at them. I'm not good. Like for whatever reason, I just don't have the dexterity to control both those things in the way that these kids do nowadays.
I think the real part of it is, we don't have the time to put in it like the kids do. You don't have 400 hours to play a game and get good at it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I remember. So here's the thing: Bond, when that came out, I was one of the first games where you kind of was doing the 2 joystick thing, and I was terrible. Never had a 64, so I didn't play it that often. I played it recently over at Andy's house, and I spent most of my time looking at the wall. I just did. I mean, it's like, what the heck? But yeah, I do love shooters though, like side scrolling. They're fantastic, fantastic. Hey, so I'm gonna jump in, and this really sucks because I don't really know where I'm gonna go. Yeah, I know where I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with another. Yeah, I'm gonna go with another Super Nintendo game. I'm gonna go with another Super Nintendo game, and this. Oh, by the way, let me just click this real quick. Andy, I know you're controlling comments. Let me throw this up here. ActRaiser. Listen, to me, this is not underrated whatsoever. If you don't know where this is, you're on an island. It's my number one favorite Super Nintendo game, and when that happens, that's it. So I haven't picked that one either. But I will share this. I'm going to go Super Nintendo again, and this game has got another cult following, but it's not mentioned in the greatest games of all time. It just is loved by everybody that has ever played it, but there's so many people that haven't. I'm going to go with Zombies Ate My Neighbors. Oh, that's it. Oh, I love it. So I'm going with Zombies Ate My Neighbors. What a fantastic, fun game. Here's the thing. You have to pretty much go 100% excellent in like the first 30, 40 stages in order to beat that game. Because if you don't, you lose lives in the beginning, you won't have enough and power and all that stuff to the end. It builds on itself. It's a fun game. It's campy. You rescue all these people. It is so fun. It's so imaginative. It's great. I love this game. It's so underrated. It should be on every top 10 list. Every single Super Nintendo top 10 list, it should be on that. I love this game. Sorry, Andy.
Yeah, I love the pick. I hate that you took it from me, but I'm glad that it got mentioned. Here's why I like that you took it, because now I can go deeper into my list here. Because I was going here. It's almost a game like Zombies Ate My Neighbors is almost a game where I struggled. Is it underrated because I loved it so much? But it is a cult classic game, right? It's just a super, super.
It's fun, man, and it is something I can pick up and put down, and when I die, it's over. It's not something you got to put a ton of hours in. Hey, I'm gonna go play through it real quick, and you can if you play it well. It's a hard game towards the end. If you play it well, you probably beat it in about an hour or so, but you're probably gonna die way before that, and you just see you later. We'll do that again another time. I love this game.
So I get to bring up a PC game anyway now. You've unlocked it.
Real quick, I kind of feel like I had that game too on the MGH, Kevin. Maybe that was one of those games that you probably sent over to.
It was on there.
I thought so. I thought
a bunch of that one too.
Yeah. So, anyways.
Yeah. So my next one, I'm just trying to figure out where I want to go with this. I am going to go, let's go here. And this is a mixture of, hey, Retro Cart's in here. What's up, man?
What's up, Retro Cart? There's our NES Games guy. Welcome to the show, Retro Cart.
Well, I'm going to pick one of my favorite underrated games. It's a fighting game, but it's almost like it's a mix with a Rampage style game. I'm going to King of the Monsters. King of the Monsters was a super duper fun game. Essentially, it's a fighting game, but you're also all of this damage that you're giving to Japan too at the same time. Like you're destroying buildings, you're doing all of these things all while you're fighting. So it's like you're this huge monster just fighting in this town. It was super fun. It was an interactive environment that you can kind of fight in. It was tons of fun. So I liked that game. And golly, man, I hate that you took Zombies Ate My Neighbors because that's where I was going to go. I'm going to pick this game, and I don't know who played it. For whatever reason, we had this game on our PC. I mentioned I was going to pick a PC game too. Hey, look, Retro Tiburon's in here too, man.
What's up? Bugsy, what a great game.
There you go.
Wait. Do you not like Bubsy? Is that something that you talk about?
He said Retro Tiburon's favorite game is Jaws on NES. Hey, look, Blocky Kid's here. What's up?
Blocky Kid's here. Cannon, there's Blocky Kid. Welcome, buddy.
Yeah. So anyway, let me get to my last Benjamin Benjamin. On the PC, very interested. Did people play this game? And the game is called Outlaws for the PC. Now, this was like an old Western style first-person shooter, very kind of like Duke Nukem's look, whatever, but it was in this old West, whatever. I don't know if anybody knows this game, and I don't know why we had it at home, but I remember between Road Rash, which I mentioned earlier, and this one, I spent most of my time on the PC, either doing those two things or illegally downloading music. That was what we did back in the day. So that's where I'm going to wrap it up with that. And there's still so many on my list that I could have thrown out there.
All right.
I've never heard of that one.
I haven't heard of that one either.
Never even heard of it.
Yes.
Got it.
Did it.
Winner, chicken dinner. So here, look, I'm going to share this. Unless Kevin picks it. The one behind me is the one that I knew I wasn't going to pick. So I put it there. So that's just a fun thing. If you want to zoom in and figure out what that game is, that's fantastic. But here's the deal. I have these 3 games left. As you can see, I'm just showing PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, and a Nintendo game. And they're all by the same company. And I did not even realize that. This is a Capcom game. I don't know which one I'm going to pick. And I can't figure out. Actually, I do. I'm going to go with this one because it is unique. It is the most fun. I am going with Maximo, Ghosts to Glory. This is a fantastic 3D platformer, and it's built from the same world as Ghosts and Goblins, or Ghouls and Goblins, and Ghosts and Ghouls, and Ghouls and Ghosts, whatever. And it's from all those different games. But Maximo, 3D platformer. I love this game. Another Capcom game. These 2 other Capcom games are definitely worth it. This one's probably the least known of the 3, so I picked that one being the most underrated for me. I love this game. It's so much fun. It's such a chill game. Maximo. That's how I'm finishing my mountain.
All right, so to me?
Yep, it's Kevin.
All right. Last one, I'm going to the Super Nintendo. And they I know they re-released it and actually made not a sequel or a remake of it, but it was Wild Guns. Don't know if anyone ever played that one.
Yes, and I always confuse this game with Gunstar Heroes for whatever reason, but it's not even close.
Right. So great game, 2 players, you know, and I mean, you essentially shot into the screen, you know, I mean, you kind of control 2 characters and, you know, you're just blowing up tons of stuff, blowing up buildings, interactive environments, huge bosses. Ton of fun. I know the one they released, you know, they made newer ones on the PS4, which were 4-player versions and fantastic games too. But Wild Guns, Super Nintendo, amazing game. Unfortunately, it's probably, you know, well beyond my means to try to afford to buy a copy of it now. That it goes for probably like $800 or something crazy. But
is that what it's going for?
Yeah, I think it goes for like $800.
Well, I'm going to say this: I had Wild Guns, I believe, also on the MGH. This game was.
That's where I got it.
It's freaking insane. It's like Wild West. It's kind of like if you ever watched the movie with Will Smith, Wild Wild West. It's like Wild West with like robots and stuff in it, and like you're like shooting all these crazy like cyborgs and things. There you go. But this game it's a blast, dude. And there's a couple different. If I remember, you'd like go through and you'd shoot up like the town, and then sometimes you'd ride on your horse. And then sometimes you'd be like on a train or something. It was like all kinds of crazy stuff, which is why I kind of think I put the 2 together. They both kind of came out same time, different systems, and I had them on the MGH. But they kind of both, I remember like riding on different things similar. Just they look different. This one's very Western. The other one is very Mecha Man-ish looking type kind of characters. But yeah, fantastic game. This game is fun. Hey, look, and you know what? Down in the comments, I also confused this one too, Sunset Riders. And I'm going to tell you, Iowa, I played Sunset Riders just recently. Gosh, that game is hard. I did not realize how hard that game was. That is a very fun game. I don't remember it being that hard though. Man, we are done, dude. 8 guys in the comments. Hey, look, there are 8 folks in the comments. Every one of these folks have a channel, if I'm maybe not correct. But we have Retro Cannon, we have Blocky Kid Gamer, Retro Tiburon, Iowa Retro Gamer Dad, and I saw Retro Cart Collector. Guys, if you're here following along, go and join our friends. Check them out what they're doing. Especially if you like video games, these guys are all great creators. You guys are all welcome to be on our show as well. But man, awesome show. Kevin, it has been a blast hanging out with you. I can't wait to hang out with you in person again. And thanks for coming to be a part, man. I knew you were going to know your stuff, and I love just reminiscing and thinking about being at Debbie's house. You had that huge water bed. It took up like the whole room, right? And then you had the rest of the room was covered in video games. I mean, that's what I remember. You could barely get in there, and we were just playing till the sun came back up. It was just insane. My parents always hated me to go over there because one, your parents let you curse as a little kid, and two, you had so many games. My dad was like, dude, you cannot play that many games all night. But man, I
little did he know.
Yeah. So what a fun time, man.
Hey, I just want to say this real quick.
We got some other games. Look, we got 10 folks on here now. Y'all are coming towards the end, man. Say hello. Top 4 underrated games. Drop them in the comments.
Well, we'll hang up for just a couple more minutes because I do want to mention some games. I'm going to cheat. We're on live. We can do this. We can make up our own rules. Here's ones that didn't get mentioned. On the Super Nintendo, I had Global Guts, if you remember that game. Like, I had the video game of the show. Was super fun. Just as a nod to the Rad Bash Gaming episode, I picked Snowboard Kids as my underrated.
Oh, so you dropped it. So since you dropped it, I'll drop mine because I didn't want to do that necessarily, but I do have
my
one.
video has come out with Rad Bash.
Mine hasn't come out, I don't think.
So that's why I felt good saying it. A very difficult game also, I believe on the Sega Genesis, Echo the Dolphin. That was a crazy difficult game. Echo the Dolphin, the whole thing is underwater, which of course is a dolphin, it is. But underwater levels are always the most difficult, but it's a whole game of only underwater levels. And then the last one that I had for the PC, I played the PC version, but this came out on multiple things, was Driver. Driver was a ton of fun.
Dude, I remember playing Driver at Charlie's house, Kevin. Yep. A lot.
But I had like the cheat codes. I got the cheat codes for Driver, and it was like unlimited damage, so you just get all the cops on you. And
he always played those racing games. He had that one. He had what was that one? I can't remember. But man, since you're throwing a few games out there, I'll throw a few out. So my game.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, it is scary. I always think of Echo and I confuse it with EVO, which are like weird. Yeah, anyways. But this is my game that's going to be on Rad Bash. I went with RPM Racing and Iowa Retro Gamer. You said Rock and Roll Racing. It's kind of an ode to it. They're kind of synonymous with each other, but I like this one better. Go see Rad Bash's video coming out with underrated Super Nintendo games. That's the one I picked. It didn't make my show because that I have a game called Parodius, which is a kind of a Gradius, but I have the Japanese version, which I think I got that from you too, Kevin. If I remember, I probably got that from you.
Was that the Super Nintendo one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's probably your old cart here, buddy. But yeah, I'm pretty sure because Kevin was the only person I knew that got Japanese games. But
oh yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah. So I love this game.
I just need to address this because your son has been begging for this the whole time in the comments. I feel like I just got to address this. For the last time, is there a giveaway? I will if we can. Listen,
so
tonight.
Here's the deal. We will do let's do this. We'll do a giveaway on next Friday's episode for anybody that puts on next Friday's episode. And I'll put it in the edit. If you watch next Friday's episode, which is the final thing for video games, we will do everybody that puts hashtag video games, just hashtag video games to finish off the month. We'll put you guys in a giveaway. We have a whole bunch of pops left. We'll give away those giveaways, and I will call the winner. Here, this is what I'll do. I'll call the winner live at Louisiana RetroCon. We're going to do that for anybody who puts in the comments. And you can start putting it here. Hashtag video games in the next one. If you put it in the comments, we will do a giveaway. So we'll do that at Louisiana RetroCon, which is in 3 weeks. So that'll be it. We got a whole bunch of pops. They're all random, and we will do that. So
maybe
hey, I have a couple more.
To make this
Genesis. I'm just going to name them real quick. Decap Attack. Toe Jam and Earl. Cool Spot is what's behind me. That is the 7-Up game. It's freaking awesome. Earthworm Jim, Alien Soldier, Moonwalker. I remember playing Moonwalker at your house, the Michael Jackson game. McFarlane Prophecy, PlayStation 2. That McFarlane game was dope. And then my other two that are hanging out over here, Breath of Fire 3, Little Nemo, the Dream Master. That was the other two Capcom games.
So here's a
Master was great.
I want to just throw this out there. If we're going to call the person live for the giveaway from RetroCon, what if we look for a pop at RetroCon as our giveaway.
Done.
Yeah.
Done.
So we're gonna find one. We're gonna find something super special. I don't know exactly what that means yet, but we'll find.
With that being said, we will be live at the con the whole week, or the whole time, at least all day Saturday, interviewing people. Come and check us out. We're going to be live here on that platform, and we'll be doing, what their top 4 favorite things are around the con. So come and visit us there. It's a great time, man. Andy, I think we are nearly done. Hey, Kevin, do you have any extras you wanted to throw out real quick?
One Genesis game didn't get mentioned. They kept talking about Genesis games over and over again. Dynamite Heady, another platformer game.
That was on my thing too. It's a treasure game too.
Treasure game too. I mean, they keep popping up over and over again.
Yeah, it's a treasure game too.
And
then I always confuse that one with Decap Attack, to be honest.
Yep. It's similar kind of style, run around smashing people with your head. Yeah. Another one, Sega CD, Snatcher from Konami.
Wow.
It's a different game. It's
talking about Konami. This game isn't mentioned enough. I saw Mad Melbont in the comments, but the Genesis Castlevania Bloodlines,
great game,
is very underrated because it was a Genesis game and it didn't get any traction.
That's right.
But yeah. Anyways, that's our show, man. Everybody, thank you for hanging out here. We appreciate you guys taking the journey with us. Kevin, we'll do it again sometime. Next on the list is Blerdish with Beat 'em Up Games. That's next week. And then you will see us live from Louisiana RetroCon. Starting right at Louisiana RetroCon that weekend, we will be starting music. I think we're going to be doing our one of our first ones is going to be video game soundtracks. We're doing movie soundtracks. We're doing one-hit wonders. We're doing, I think, are your boys coming with the, what's your boys pick?
Listen, no disrespect to any guest that we've ever had, because we've had tremendous people on here.
Yeah, I'm scared.
If this will be the most guests we've ever had on a live simultaneously. But I used to be in some pretty heavy metal bands, and one of those bands, we're getting the band back together all on the Rushmore Show.
The whole band will be here.
Plus, actually, one extra, because David Finn and Daniel Eller both were bassists at different times in our band. So 2 bassists. And then everyone else.
Did we pick a topic, though?
We have not yet. That'll be
at one time. We thought it's a metal band. It might be fun to do their guilty pleasures. So there'll be some things that aren't necessarily metal. Metal, top 4 metal has been thrown out there. I am going to feel very overwhelmed with that one, considering they are geniuses at this, and I have no idea what the heck I'm talking about.
If I can do an RPG episode, you can do a metal episode.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. But I brought on Picking Preacher. You brought on the metal band. I mean, like, what? That's kind of different. But yeah, I'm in for it. I'm in for it because you've done baseball with me. I'm fine. But I know that I'm going to get eaten alive. Maybe like Ozzy.
As long as you don't consider AC/DC in our picks here.
Well, hokey pokey! Dude, I do love AC/DC, but I wouldn't put it in metal.
And I know we're going long here, but I am ecstatic about music for 2 months. It's just I'm going to be on cloud 9 the whole time.
The one I mentioned was, Kevin, I know you've been busy. We have reconnected. I love having you. If you ever want to jump back on and something that's outside of video games, we are going into, just to share with everybody, music is the next 2 months, and then movies and TV is the next 2 months. We're jumping back into nostalgia. That might be a fun one to hang out with you, doing some things from back in the day as kids. And then after that is sports, and we're finishing off the year with 2 months of food. So then we wrap back around. We'll be back in video games in January. So January, February will be video games from here on out. So if that's what you love, it's going to be awesome. So, hey, thanks for being here, man. We appreciate it so much. Glad you took a little bit of time, actually an hour and 45 minutes worth of time. But Andy, I think it's time to go to bed and tell all our friends good night.
Well, let's end it like we always do. This is the Rushmore Show, where it's all about your top 4.
Top 4.
And nothing more.
Peace.